mine. Thanks very much for inviting me in. I think there was some surprising language there, but this was an interview done last Friday after a fairly intensive 2-hour live broadcast. And I think what the three people will have had a chance to do is look at the budget, look at some of the things underneath the headlines and see that actually it proves a massive investment into health and education, those very public services that they're supporting and the government supports as well.
Do you think that the input from unions is valuable? You mentioned that it was after that show on Friday, spirits might have been quite high, but do you think their points are valid?
I mean, what government do is talk to all representatives, whether that's from trade unions, other employee representation and employers as well. So, for instance, in terms of education, I know in my previous role as Education Minister, we met with all four of the unions, obviously Geraldine O'Neill's the representative of NASUWT, who unfortunately are the only one of the four who was still in dispute with the department. But we met with all four unions on a regular basis talking about policy and strategy. And that's ongoing. And former Minister Julie Edge was extremely engaged with the unions. And that's shown by some of the significant pay increases they've had to improve recruitment and retention. So we do talk to the unions. We do talk on a regular basis. One of the things I did when I came into Treasury was invite both Mick Hugh and Debbie Halsall into the office to talk to them. It's a shame that they didn't take up that offer last year in terms of coming in as we were devising this budget. But there is that two-way dialogue with both them and the employees of people like the Chamber of Commerce.
Any plans to meet with the unions in the coming weeks? Perhaps the Chief Minister has been accused of not listening to the Manx public. Is that an area you too believe you could improve on?
Well, you can always have better communication, but I think that the Chief Minister, when he was on this show yesterday, clearly set out that of all the administrations, I think we do more in terms of going out to listen to people, to hear their voice. I did a public meeting on Monday night. He said he's going to be going around the island. Actually, when you look back to the start of this administration with the Island Plan, all the ministers were going out to all the corners of this nation asking people for their ideas, and they were fed into the Island Plan. So there's a huge amount of listening there. But what this administration needs to do at this point in the political cycle is actually deliver on the promises of the Island Plan and the economic strategy. And we're seeing that already in terms of simple things like the number of planning applications that have been seen even this week about new housing. Because one of the things that came out of the public meeting on Monday was housing, was affordable, accessible housing on the Isle of Man for the people who are here and also for the people we want to invite to come over and join our community.
Minister, we've had a text in from a listener, Ian, who says, hi there, I very much think the present government have lost touch with the majority of the population. They appear to think small sound bites are sufficient to appease the population when there are genuine concerns over how all sorts of people will cope financially, not just those on benefits. So what do you say in response to that? Do you think you do just offer sound bites? Do we need more than that? I mean, how do you sort of allay these fears? Because we have texts like this from listeners who really are genuinely concerned about the financial situation at the moment.
Well, and so am I. And so the whole idea of this budget was sustainable finances, because we can't carry on drawing down on reserves. I mean, one of the comments made by Debbie Halsall was why we didn't increase the threshold of the 20% tax rate. If we'd have increased that up to 18,500 from 14,500, it would have cost an extra 35 million drawing down from reserves. This is a responsible budget. But in light of those comments, we spent 2 hours live on Friday. This isn't about a soundbite administration. We have very lengthy debates in Tynwald that I'm very grateful for you broadcasting. We will come on the radio shows like this. We will go out to the community. And again, at the end of the day, we are all constituency MHKs as well. We all run surgeries. We all listen to our constituents and listen to the people of the Isle of Man.
You said on Friday the median earner in the so-called squeezed middle earns around £35,000. Where exactly then does the squeezed middle start?
Again, that depends on your perspective. I think when you look at the median earnings on the Isle of Man, they're about £35,000. Lots of people have been affected by the inflationary pressures we've seen over the last couple of years. Government has been affected, which is why our costs have gone up and why we needed that balanced budget, which this budget actually provides for. When you look at some of those people we're talking about, a jointly assessed couple on £50,000 a year with 2 children will be £454 better off with this budget. Single parents with 2 children earning £30,000 will be £1,433 better off because of the extra money we put into child benefit, because of the extra money we're putting into childcare as well. And even a pensioner who's earning £45,000 a year will still be £283 better off. However, we know that those people who, a single person just scraping by on £35,000 will be worse off by about £3.70 a week. What we're saying, though, is that the increased 2% on the upper rate of tax is being ring-fenced for our NHS. It's being invested in the future of the health of our nation. And I think that's really important. And it'll be interesting to see how Jeremy Hunt responds to the similar challenges that are faced by the adjacent Isle in his budget next week.
Of course, we'll keep a close eye on that. So we're a week on now from our budget. We've had a huge response, a mixed response, it has to be said. You've had time to sort of just to get your head around exactly how people have responded. How do you feel, Minister, a week on, exactly how your budget has been received? How do you feel about that?
This is a difficult budget in difficult economic times, but it charts a future whereby we have certainty, sustained finances, and also that stability that we need. It is difficult for a lot of people on this island. I completely appreciate that, but I hope that when they go underneath the headlines and look at some of the substance of this budget, the long-term planning that goes into it, the way that we've committed to looking at tax thresholds and child benefit thresholds going forward in next year's budget, we can actually rebuild our economy, rebuild the finances of the Isle of Man after 3 years of it taking a battering, and get back onto a far more sustained path for the future economic development of the island.
And just finally, Minister, we heard from Geraldine O'Neill from the NASUWT before. Do you accept or perhaps even believe that some members of that union, or the squeezed middle perhaps, will sometimes need to rely on food banks?
When I was Education Minister, there was one case that came to my attention who was a teacher who'd just come over to the Isle of Man. They were paying rent here. They were still paying a mortgage across. They hadn't got their pay up front, and they were in dire straits. The help is there, though. If a teacher is finding that they're being financially challenged, go and talk to your head teacher. There are ways we can supplement your income, bring the payments forward. We have a very well-developed social security system here.
So that claim is plausible?
I know of one case, and if she has other cases of members of her union who are finding it incredibly difficult to make finances meet, please reach out to the social security sector. We have a whole range of benefits that we've absolutely boosted in this budget, and we can deal with them on an individual basis. But at the same time, we have significantly increased teachers' pay, and if people are falling through the gaps in the system, talk to your head teacher, talk to social security. We will deal with that problem and help you.